I mean, you should put public health at the forefront of every. I mean, ideally, you'd. I know economics comes in, politics comes in. I'm not saying that we can't talk about science in isolation. You cannot, because the science is about the water that people are drinking and they're getting sick. So there are obvious implications to everything that I say and what our results show. So I mean, I was shocked for at least a few weeks going into this. We'd be working towards, we'd be putting out results, and we would not know if that was going to do anything.
What do you mean by not do anything?
Well, the city and the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, they were putting out, these press releases saying, "Oh, water's safe to drink. It meets federal standards."
Can you give us a time frame of when these press releases are going out?
Sure. I think so. The first, there were questions about the water as early as June and July 2014. And I think MDQ commented on why these discolored water was. They gave some explanation. But the real public health question, so there are two aspects to this. One is the emails that we, got via Freedom of Information Act requests, and which shows that there was email conversation as early as February that pointed to potential lead issues. But with the public information, all the press releases that came out, the one that stands out the most.
I'm on your website right now. Are we talking about this one right here? Freedom of Information Act? Right. This is one of many. But there's a big PDF somewhere down below, I think. Okay, I'm scrolling down. I'm trying to find right here. This is the PDF?
Not this one. Keep going. These are how the city of Flint, lied and kind of changed their. Not these ones. If you could keep going.
I'm going.
Maybe going the other direction, I think.
Go up right now. Let's see. Let's look at the date.
This was September 16 or 17, I think. September 21.
2021.
Okay, let me.
Do I go up or down?
Okay, hold on. You go up. You go to page 1.
I will go to page 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to, when you're talking about something, I like to bring it up so that people, could access it.
Right.
It's easy to talk about something, but let's just show them where they could get this information. Page 1, where on page 1?
I'm looking at it myself. Just a second. There's a huge PDF that says.
I'm on November the 6th right now.
Okay, this MDQ leaked. Okay, the post that says new Freedom of Information Act requests document answer our earlier question, where is the US EPA? This is October 19th.
October, so we're going to be down here. October 19th?
Right.
I think that's on page 2. October 4th. Oh, no, 4th, 19th. We're going up. 18th, right here.
Oh, yeah, the 19th. Chronology. Yeah, okay. Go a little bit down. Yeah, this and the second PDF, the one that says chronology of MDQ emails.
Right here. Right.
So this one, has everything, all the press releases from MDQ and the emails that I talked about. So the one comment that MDQ made in July, immediately after the ACLU report about the EPA memo, was when MDQ said anyone concerned about lead in Flint can relax because the water meets all state and federal standards. So this was just the beginning, I think, when afterwards we released our results of high lead problems. We were called the research group that pulls the rabbit out of the hat, the rabbit being higher lead in water, because we as a group.
Who said that you were the group that pulled rabbits out of the hat?
I think it's MDQ's Brad Werfel.
He is a communication director, isn't he?
He is MDQ's communications director, yes. So if you look at the press release,
or we could say he's a spin doctor.
Well,
he spins the stories to fit their point of view.
I feel very sorry. Yeah,
that's what PR people do.
We hope they would tell you the truth, but that wasn't the case here at all.
But in that particular instance, he was saying that the Virginia Tech team, they had a history of pulling rabbits out of a hat.
Right, and that was an official press release that was sent out to Ron Fonger, I think, from the Flint Journal. So
I mean, I appreciate the imagery there, but why would somebody in a public position use that image in an official capacity, pulling a rabbit out of a hat and having students?
Right. I have no idea. I mean, you look, it's just a series of very unfortunate and even, scathing attacks, you could call them, that all these releases were. I mean,
so when your team heard that, what was the impact? Did you guys sit around, go to the pizza parlor and just kind of laugh about it? Or did you make you angry? It's like, we're going to get this guy. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, what was the mood?
It was both. I think we were, at least I was livid. I'm thinking, we have test results that are 5 times what these people claim to have collected, and all of them, are talking about, we have a huge lead crisis. People act immediately. People's lives are at stake. And this guy just sitting there, telling everyone that Virginia Tech doesn't know what they're talking about. They did this in Washington, D.C. They did this everywhere else. And I mean, what was even worse, I think, was when Mona Hanna-Tisha, the pediatrician from Hurley, she came out with her results of actual blood lead levels of kids. And she showed clearly, without any doubt, that these kids in Flint, their blood lead levels had doubled. And in some zip codes where we found a high lead level in the water, the blood lead levels in these kids had tripled. This guy says, she is irresponsible, and her actions are unfortunate, something like that. And all this is in official press releases and media reports. So I'm just sitting there, throughout this, just my mouth is open all the time. I cannot wrap my head around what this guy is thinking or who is he representing, if not the people.
What does a livid scientist do? I mean, you're livid. I mean, what do you do? I mean,
I think no. We initially, when he said that, we released a press release saying that we have tested lead in a lot of other cities, including Detroit, and we found that they were meeting the lead and copper rule. They were in compliance. So we have a history of doing this because that's one of our expertise. That's one of the areas we are experts in. So this is what we do, and all of everything. I mean, livid. At some point I had to let it go because I realized that this doesn't make any sense, and I cannot waste my time thinking about it.
But how can you let it go? Because people's health is concerned. And we're talking not people. We're talking about infants. We're talking about pregnant women. We're talking about the elderly that you call on the phone that you have a personal connection with, and they're saying, "I'm sick. I can't afford the water filters." And we have this guy saying, "It's okay. There's no problem here. Move along."
So when I say let it go, I mean his idiotic comments. I don't mean the issue. So, at this point, when our results were out, we actually traveled to Flint to talk to people. We didn't just sit in Blacksburg. So mid-September, when results from over 250 ohms were out, we were in Flint talking to them, doing big town hall meetings and giving out the public health advisory. So if this guy comes in and says that Virginia Tech is fanning political flames irresponsibly, it was making us angry. But at this point, the media was involved. They were covering the issue, and every day we would have 5-10 articles about this. So that was giving us hope. And I think what completely made my day was when a lot of these emails that we got via Freedom of Information Act requests. So, Marc was at the top of his game throughout this. He's a brilliant scientist, but I was just amazed at how wonderfully, he just put hours in trying to cover every detail. So when we say that these people knew about the issue, we are not just saying this because we heard it, but we have actual emails to prove it. So I think the emails kind of substantiated our position and helps us feel good that we are talking about an actual issue. And these people will take notice because at this point, Congressman Dan Kildee was involved, Senator Jim Ananich was involved, pediatricians were telling that we have a lead problem, and then the health department came out and declared outright a public health emergency. So this was a very short period amount of time. This was like 3 weeks within which our results came out, the doctor results came out, and the public health emergency was declared. So I was livid, but not for very long because action had been taken.
You said that Dr. Marc Edwards was at the top of his game. What's he like at the top of his game? What does that mean?
I think so. When I say that, what I mean is he is someone who has been fighting, these issues, especially in Washington D.C. His volunteer hours. For 15 years, he's volunteered his time. He's lost research funding. He's lost friends. But as a human being, he cares deeply about these issues, primarily of kids getting exposed to lead for no fault of their own. So this man has been fighting something for 15 long years. And with Flint, I think he could look at what all issues are happening simultaneously. So, I come in and if one of the grad students does an experiment showing that Flint water is worse than Detroit water, that is not enough. You have to go and sample in homes. When we find a lead problem, maybe that is not enough. We need, emails to look at what is actually going on behind the scenes. So, and then, putting out these results on the web, so writing articles every second day and putting these results out, and then using all of his past experience and just pushing for good scientific information to go out there and make an impact. So I think he was a brilliant leader in coordinating, okay, this is happening now, this is what we have to do next. This is happening now, this is what we should do now. So it was just an honor just to witness all of this happening.
Where's the team today?
They're all going in their lab, working on their experiments, and hoping to pass their exams that they have in a week. So yeah, everyone's here.
So they've gone back to their lives. Do they meet for pizza every week? Do they talk about this issue? I mean,
we have a meeting tomorrow.
I know that you stopped posting the press information right before Thanksgiving, and now we're between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we got the holidays, then we got the New Year. I mean, what does the New Year hold for the Virginia Tech Flint water study team?
I think there were different levels of responsibility on who was doing what. So for people who were doing experiments, the experiments have been very successful. They have shown what the intention was, so they can move on. People who are looking at, so we were in Flint right before the water switch back to Detroit, and we collected samples from hospitals and from homes to look at pathogens. So we have people who are analyzing those right now. So there are different levels of responsibility. So my role as a communications director is still on. It's not as frequent as it needs to be because a lot of action has already been taken by the state, by the city. We can push for justice, and we can, I'll continue to work, find time, to put together information on the website, on social media, because our website and our pages have become go-to sources for many people. So I'll continue to do that. But I think all these responsibilities that were given to us have been carried out, and what remains, we'll still do it. So yeah, we would be around for a long time, both from a research perspective and as human beings who are really concerned about the Flint issue.
Okay. Oh, before we wrap this up, and it sounded like you were wrapping this up, why don't you talk about the articles in the press? Because I found this to be a very valuable source as a journalist to put things in a time frame,
right.
a timeline, and into perspective. Because here you've got lots of articles, and when I first saw it, I just saw the first, the first page, and I did not realize the depth of how far it went. And there's a lot of information here.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I mean, we're still scrolling down. We're still in October. I'm scrolling down. I mean, October was a very busy month for you guys.
September as well.
And September, we're going down. We're on the middle of September. And then this is August, July, June, April, January. Then you go back to 2014. Why didn't you go back to 2013 and 2010? And why not back to 1963? Why not go back to where, where do you believe this story actually started? The Flint River crisis, or the Flint River story, where did it actually begin? I see it beginning 1963, 50 years ago.
That because that's when Flint started buying water from Detroit? I mean, I don't have that background, so I would not be able to answer why or how things.
Well, I took your all of your work that you did, and I put it into a spreadsheet.
Right.
Here's a spreadsheet that I created. It's more of a database, which makes it easier for me to find information, and I hope that will make it easier for other people. But right here, the Karenagi Water Authority Wikipedia site, which I found. I didn't know that it existed. And so here's their Wikipedia site. And so this is where they put the start of their water system, which is right here, as you can see, the background. 1963, they attempted to build a pipeline from Lake Huron, but it was shut down because of a profiteering scandal that derailed the pipeline. So the die was basically cast 50 years ago to build a pipeline to Flint to bypass the Detroit water system. And
I did not know that.
And over the years, it just accelerated until, well, you can read the Wikipedia site, and it gives a pretty good analogy of events. But this is the heart. This is where I feel it started over 50 years ago, and it started and ended 50 years ago in scandal. And so what happens today, 2015, we still have scandal.
True. Yes.
And it's just like there's some forces that are trying to make this happen for some unknown reason, and for some unknown reason they just get slammed. they just get slammed. It's like if you're a religious person, you just feel that somebody doesn't want this to happen, so it's not going to happen. Anyway, that's where I saw. So anyway, looking at your timeline, which I thought was just an invaluable resource, I really commend you on your efforts in pulling this together.
Thank you. Yeah.
Trying to find it. Because everybody when I talk to them on these interviews, it's like, give me a time frame, give me a timeline of how things progressed. And this really, especially here in September, where it just went nuts in terms of the national press you were getting, and the local press, and how this was just a hot topic.
I was amazed when we launched the website in mid-August. I had no idea, how to reach out to the press or what to do. So I was, just waving my hands in the water, hoping something happens. But I think since people have been protesting for months, when this went out and, these activists reached out to the media, or maybe the media got hold of the website, after that, it was just, yeah, it's still, I still have difficulty wrapping my head around the enormity of the whole thing.
So what are some of the highlight articles that really focuses in on the story?
Right. I think if you look at articles, so there are the local articles and the national ones.
Here we got the New York Times, October 2nd. Was that a big?
Not the October 2nd one, but there is a one at a later point, which had, so we made it to the New York Times front page. So that was with Leanne there. So it might be October 7th.
October 7th. So you've read all these articles, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
So you kind of are like, got this all in your head.
It's mixed up now, but yeah.
But it's like you're the conductor.
Well, when you spend 16 hours just reading stuff about Flint, you tend to become a conductor.
So you saying around October the 7th?
I think so, yeah. Huffington Post. Okay, stay right there. Okay, 6.
There it is, right there. You're right, right here,
yes.
Right on the money.
There you go.
Right on the money. Right here, October the 7th.
This was on the front page on the web of New York Times, so it was right just here. Brilliant. Yes, it was. I think every major media that you could think about: the Huffington Post, the Guardian, NBC Nightly News, Al Jazeera, every possible. But to begin with, I think Michigan Radio and ACLU, of course, and the Flint Journal, they were really pushing at all different steps of the way. Now, we can argue about they should have covered more of what came out from the emails, and Michigan Radio did a lot more of that. But every day when you have 5 articles about Flint in 3 different outlets, which are the primary news sources in Flint, I was really happy at how hopefully it was reaching out to people who needed to know. So I think that was our biggest. Public education trumped everything else for us. At least people should know, so that, and the media, I think, at least from a perspective that's coming from me, they did a decent job of making sure that happened.
So this article right here was a big deal, New York Times.
This one, yes, and there was the one from the Guardian, I think, which was October 6th, and there was an NPR piece on September 29, where MDQ said the EPA memo was the work of a rogue employee.
Okay, where are we? September 29th, you say?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, we're October. 29th. Oh, September. I got to get down here. October, September the 29th.
I think so. Yes.
And
it should be an NPR piece.
NPR, Michigan?
No, just simply NPR.
And it should be in bold, right?
In bold, because it's national, yes.
Because it's national, right here, the 29th.
There you go. Yeah, this was huge, yes.
And why do you say this was huge?
Because this was, I think, you know, now from somebody sitting outside, it's difficult to perceive, you know, what's happening on the ground or how are people taking it nationally. But this was the first national coverage, and I was following NPR's Facebook page, and at least 1,500 to 2,000 people, you know, were talking about it within minutes, within hours. So the hope is that beyond the local media and local legislators and people in charge, this goes to as many people as possible to let people know that there is a crisis like this happening inside the United States, where people are fighting over clean water. So this was, you know, NPR, and I'm a huge fan of NPR, so I guess this is biased, but I was really happy that NPR covered this. And it was also funny because MDQ here says that the report was the work of a rogue employee and Miguel is one of you nationally respected lead scientists, and he was called a rogue employee, so that was funny. But yeah,
I'm looking at the comments. So this article on the NPR website has generated 155 comments. So that's pretty good interaction with the community out there.
And that's just on the website. If you go to the Facebook page, I'm sure it's in the thousands.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, you look at Erin Brockovich's page when she talks about Flint. You look at NPR's page with this article. The last time I saw it, it at least had 1,500 likes or shares or something like that. So that's a huge number.
So Erin Brockovich, talk about Erin Brockovich. Did you get a selfie with Erin Brockovich, by the way?
I haven't met her.
Really? You didn't meet her? You're the communication director for the Flint water study.
Right. But how is that related to getting a selfie with Erin Brockovich?
I was just wondering. I mean, I know that everybody's very serious, but you know, she's kind of a celebrity out there.
Oh yeah, she is. She is, and I think she would have, you know, Facebook posts now and again about the Flint issue. And I know way back in January she worked with the residents initially. So, but I think it was good. Definitely good press, because when she says something, people tend to listen. So when she talked about the Flint issue and she highlighted all our results and the results from Hurley, and she put them on her page, it was getting thousands of views, which is always good if there is an important, serious issue at hand. So I was happy.
How about Bob Bocox? She brought Bob Bocox in.
Right. I have not had a chance to interact or learn more about. I know a little bit about his role and how he helped citizens, you know, try to get, I believe, a lawsuit or something way back in January. But yeah, I don't know much about what he did.
So that was a bit before your time.
Right, before I came in. So yes.
Before you came up. Okay, so we've gone over the hour. I don't think I'm going to get the transcript that I was hoping for.
Sorry about that.
Well, that's life. I mean, that's how it works. Is there anything that you would like to talk about that we haven't covered? I know we kind of like popped around. I tried to keep it centered on your website. And you know, it's very deep in terms of information. And I think it really accomplishes what you set out to do, which was to create a resource suppository, not suppository.
A repository for everyone.
Yeah, for everybody, kind of a library, so that they can come and get the right, we'll get information, get access to the information.
Exactly. I mean, I think for me, the best part about being, you know, as a student, you hope to get a hold of, the science, the research, and you hope someday you'll make an impact in the world. But for most of the students here who worked on this, I think their whole perspective of how they want to approach life and science and research has changed. I was talking to this one PhD student, William, who also worked on the Flint study briefly. And he said that, he wants to be a professor when he graduates. And his idea of doing research was, oh, I want to include the public in every step of what I do. And so you look at people in Flint and people in DC as examples of, intelligent people who are not scientists maybe, but who understand that an issue is important and can contribute in very meaningful ways. So for us, it was a little more personal because we not only got to do science with people, but we listened to them, we had meals with them, we made personal connections. I'm so happy Leanne calls me her friend. To understand that science doesn't operate in a vacuum, and as students, we have had not only, we've applied our research and used science to quote unquote empower people. And one lady actually said that, this data is so helpful. Now that I know that these are my lead levels, I'm empowered, and that stays with you. So the personal connections you make, and to really feel that even as a student, you had an impact, a real impact on a city of 100,000 people in some small way. That is, that feels really good, and that's heartening. So for all of us, here who made connections, who worked, and who now understand the world a little better, Flint, an unfortunate event, but it changed many lives.
And I guess for you, it changed your life for the good. For residents of Flint, not so good.
I guess I know. It's really tragic.
It's a tragic story, but it brings people together. It really shows how people can, in tragedy, come together and find some solace in working together, and just working because of the common good, not because of making money or some achievement or a gold star, but working because this is the right thing to do. So I know that Marc has really been fighting this fight 15 years. He started in Washington, D.C. When we did the interview with him, which somehow got lost into the Google archives, he constantly beat the drum that he was cynical. He's a cynic. And he really was skeptical about getting involved with this project at Flint because of his experience with Washington, D.C., where you put your heart, your soul into it. You bleed every day because of the stories of how this affects the human spirit, the people. Yet you're up against agencies, bureaucracy, officials, and they don't do the right thing. And people that are paid to protect human health aren't standing up. They're not standing up. And those that are in the agencies like Miguel, they're dealt with. They're shown another room, another thing to do. So how does that play into to your feeling, to your sense of the story? I know you like that human connection, but then you got this reality where it's part of this political discussion of what to do now that you've got the data, now that you know that people were poisoned through no fault of their own. How does that work into your sense of the story?
I think, when I was reading the emails and getting a sense of what was going on, I'll just illustrate with an example because that's just stands out in my head. There are discussions of, oh, since Flint is moving to the pipeline next year, there is no need for additional testing of the water. Or, yeah, these are isolated cases and since some homes have lead pipes, I was amazed that this focus on trying to meet the lead and copper rule, trying to follow the law, was seen as something more important than protecting kids, protecting elderly, protecting the people. So I still grapple with it. I mean, Marc teaches an ethics class that the hope is when students listen to the DC case, listen to more case studies and more voices of the public and people who've fought in similar situations across the globe, they put the public's health first, and that's how they would operate. But you don't see that in at least the Flint example. It's just I just fail to understand how people, suspend their common sense, their moral agency on doing the job that they were given to do, and just, fight over and just use the rhetoric of, oh, we are in compliance, and that's all that counts. And I mean, what are laws for if not protecting people? And I know it's a political question. There are answers. People will tell. I am a hopeful cynic. I still like to believe that, although every example that you can point at will show the opposite. DC is where not one person has been fired. The class action lawsuit that was thrown out. But I want to be hopeful. And at least the Flint case has given me some hope that, if people have the information and they realize something is wrong, they'll fight. And hopefully that fight brings about good results like it happened in Flint. It's not ideal, but it's a worldview that I would like to live with. I have to be hopeful if I want to accomplish anything or help anyone or help myself.